Hi, I'm Jack Shilley and welcome to another video. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to plant pumpkins into the ground outside. Now pumpkins, in order to grow properly, need the weather to be frost-free, which I think we are now. I think the last of the frost is finally behind us and it's certainly a lot milder than it has been. So now's a really good time. Unfortunately we haven't got the sunshine, but at least it's not raining, so it's ideal to get outside and do a bit of digging. Pumpkins like to have a decent amount of time in the ground so that they have enough time to get settled and produce large fruit that we can use later on in the year, normally around harvest time in the autumn. As you can see, spring has certainly arrived by the blossom on the tree behind me, so without further ado, let's take a look at the pumpkin patch for this year. So this is the pumpkin patch for this year. Now normally what I do with this is I grow all kinds of vegetables in here, peppers, chilies, sweet corn, lettuce, carrots, and last year I did actually manage to squeeze a couple of pumpkins in with the rest of that. And they grew pretty well, but it's a very small plot. It's about 1.5 meters-ish by 1 meter deep, and it borders this leylandii hedge, which obviously sucks a lot of moisture and nutrients out from it. I love growing pumpkins, so what I've decided to do this year is scrap the rest of the vegetables, at least in this particular veg bed, and just focus on pumpkins in here. Now the soil here is actually really nice. I've done a lot of work on it over the past few years to bring it up to a really nice standard, and it's got quite a lot of nutrients in it, but pumpkins are very hungry. So now that I've weeded it, I weeded it earlier today, I've mulched it over the winter with some organic farmyard manure, added some compost, so there's a good amount of organic matter in there. What I'm going to do now, just before I do any further digging or actually plant the pumpkins in, is I like to dig in some organic chicken manure pellets first of all, and then what I'll also do is I'll scatter some chicken manure pellets on the surface of the soil once the pumpkins are in, just to make sure there is loads of nutrients in there. That's really going to help the pumpkins. As I said, they're very hungry, and in order to produce nice big pumpkins, if that's what you're going for, they need lots and lots of nutrients. The next step is to actually plant your pumpkins. So these are ones that I bought from my local garden centre. They're really nice size, really good quality plant. The hard work is already done for you because the seeds are already germinated and you've got a good sized plant to start with. Growing them from seed, however, is very cost effective and it's also very easy, and I might do a video a little bit later in the season on how you would grow them from seed. But you just basically want to position them within the bed now, and you want to make sure they have adequate space. They're quite big plants, and the more space you give them, hopefully the more nutrients they're going to have. They're not going to be competing with each other, and ultimately you should get bigger pumpkins as a result. So in here obviously space is quite limited, but I know they've been successful in here before, so I'm quite confident that I've got the kind of spacing right. I'm going to put one at the back here, another one at the back here, and then I'm going to put one in the front. And what that's done is it's left about 1 meter between each of the pumpkins. So one can grow that way, one can grow on the back, and one can grow this way, and hopefully they won't compete with each other too much. I've only ever grown 2 in here, so I'm trying 3 and I'll see how it goes. It's a bit of an experiment, but then isn't all gardening a bit of trial and error? So we'll see what happens. I'm quite confident, as I said, that they're going to grow. All you need to do then is, if your soil is good, you can plant them straight into the ground, so that's what I'm going to do. Or if you are worried that your soil is not quite up to standard, you can actually mound up some compost. So you'd build a mound and you'd plant the pumpkin in the top of the mound, and then they would root down into that and then into the subsequent soil underneath. The nutrients will gradually soak from that mound as well into the soil underneath, and you'll be fine to grow them. So they're pretty resilient. As long as you give them that good start and they've got lots of feed, they'll be absolutely fine. Make sure you plant them the same depth that they are in the pot currently, otherwise you could lead them to rotting. If the weather's dry and not wet like it is at the moment, you'd also want to make sure they're thoroughly watered before you plant them, but the soil and the pots are both very wet from the rain that we've had recently, so I'm just going to pop them straight in. Good healthy root system, pop that in there, and then backfill around like that. Now sometimes you will get leaves touching the soil. You can try and straighten it up so that they don't do that, or what I would do with that one is simply just snip it off. That can cause rotting, that's the only reason why I would take those off. So in terms of actually planting them into the soil, super quick and easy. What I'm going to do now, as I said, just to give them another boost of nutrients, I'm going to scatter some chicken manure pellets, a good kind of handful around each of the plants, and then leave them be. Again, if you're planting in dry weather, at this point you want to give them a really good soaking in. They're quite thirsty, and that's key. Make sure you keep on top of the watering during the summer. If they're left without water, the fruit will abort and the plant will probably grow, but it will look very poorly and very sick. Same with feeding. As soon as you get fruit on there, you need to be feeding them. So first flowers come through, first signs of fruiting, give them a really good feed. I actually use Tomerite because it's high in potash, which means it's really good for fruit. So anything like that would be great for the pumpkins as soon as they start fruiting. And as I said, just keep on top of the watering. The soil here is moist enough and damp enough that I'm going to leave them, and rain is forecast overnight. Generally, what I would say at this point is the pumpkins are pretty much set for the rest of the season. Just to recap, keep on top of the watering, keep on top of the feeding, and they'll be fine. The only other thing to be careful of at this time of year, particularly with it being quite damp, is slugs and snails. They will munch on them, so whether you wanted to use slug pellets or whether you wanted to use an organic method of control, copper tape or gravel around the plants, anything like that will act as a deterrent for them, and hopefully they'll be okay. Other than that, that's it. These will keep growing, they'll grow and grow and grow at a rate of knots really, and by the time we get to autumn, hopefully we'll have some lovely big pumpkins that you can use for carving or in pies or anything like that. They're really easygoing plants actually. And that's it for planting pumpkins, so I will see you in the next video. If you've enjoyed this and found it useful, please comment below and drop us a like. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you hit that button so you don't miss out on any of my future video updates, and I'd like to thank you for watching.